So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and stuff, and how you got involved in all this.
But just quickly, my name is Ernie Stevens III. I'm a member of the Oneida Nation here in Wisconsin. We're just outside of Green Bay. In fact, I'm actually coming to you from Green Bay. I actually live on the reservation, but also within city limits. So they're pretty close. But we're the Haudenosaunee Nation here, located in Wisconsin. I have I guess a pretty extensive history about different areas, educations and media. Spent a lot of time doing that. That's my passion. I would love to get back into that, and I would love to make movies as a career. If that helps clarify some of my passions. I've always been interested in video game development, so that's kind of where I started. It ended up doing a lot of marketing, branding, video, PR, all that fun stuff. Got into gaming, I would say probably about a decade or so ago, and just was very interested in the future aspects of gaming and how to move things along into the new markets and everything that we're talking about now with esports and sports betting, of course, skills-based, all that fun stuff, VR, AR. Just all those things I thought could easily be intertwined into the gaming mix beyond just bells and whistles of a slot machine. So that's what brought me to gaming, and that's, I guess, why I'm here, and just hoping to help my tribe as well as any tribe nationally to advance their sovereignty and improve their communities through gaming, and of course other economic ventures beyond gaming. So very interested in all those things as well. So I think that probably sums it up.
So I know I've been reading a lot of things about the reservations and how coronavirus has impacted the Indian Nation, and how you've been trying to get funding from the government, etc. What do you feel like in moving forward? And you're working with the esports now and getting involved in video gaming, etc., like stuff like that. What do you think moving forward? Do you think that the reservations or the casinos, particularly on those reservations, need to pivot in this time of crisis? How can they pivot to gain and not lose their level of influence and entertainment for their respective states and where they're located?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think it's very important for them to realize that this situation is as bad as it has been and can be. It's an opportunity for them to focus on some of those things. I mean, I think right now, with specific to esports, what you're seeing obviously is, even though the concentrated human interaction spaces of events and things like that have gone away temporarily, people are still virtually, obviously, connecting online and probably higher numbers, as I understand. So the data flowing in those networks is astounding, and something that may not have happened, at least to this extent, had this pandemic hadn't occurred. So it's a prime opportunity for some high value data right now for that tribes need to be capturing, and that I am concerned and I'm afraid that to some extent they are not. And so that's my my push and plea. I've certainly brought it up to my tribe here at Oneida, and I believe they are getting around to at least the discovery and research of this. But as a lot of us who've been talking about this for some time, we're way past that. So tribes really need to look at that. Now's the time, from at least a database development perspective, market monitoring perspective, all those things. A lot of information flowing through the airways right now, and a lot of people are moving and shaking. And so tribes just need to get in on board and start catching up to this, because there's a lot of information flowing that they may be missing out on. And I think at the end of the day, though, all that's going to be trackable, and all it's going to be very well available for tribes. So
Right.
they'll be able to do their analyses, after the fact if necessary. But again, now's the time. It's a major opportunity and silver lining, that's allowing tribes to be able to focus online and on their databases without having to, even though it's hurt tribal communities a great deal. We've laid off over 1,900 jobs,
Yeah.
so it's nothing to sneeze at, nothing to balk at. Um, but I feel it's temporary. But at the same time, there's long-term opportunities that, philosophy of taking an adversity and making it an opportunity, I think is something tribes need to be doing right now.
As you know, I mean, we're you're speaking at the Casino Esport Conference, and we have a good relationship, and we've been working towards doing a lot of stuff with you. And even though our conference is set for September, we're gauging, when exactly. I think it's very important for those people to be in the same room, even if they're 6 feet apart from each other at the event, to do that. What, from your perspective, you said that they're sort of getting it, they're sort of getting around to it. I would think that this would be a really good opportunity for them actually to get involved rather quickly, even to supplement some of the stuff that they're worried about right now. What more can we do to help move that needle forward for especially, like, speaking on behalf of, like, the tribal community? Okay, you have any ideas of what more we could do, or what that would take for us to get more help, to be able to help them more?
Yeah, no. First of all, I just want to say appreciate that opportunity. I think it'll be great, all things considered, come September. So I appreciate that. You guys have been great. Look forward to it. But I think it's definitely, for the most part, the messaging isn't going to change. Especially come that time, we're going to have a lot of time or an opportunity to reflect. So I think, as far as the need to get involved, the need to educate themselves, I think that's if anything sped up with this pandemic. But at this pandemic aside, I think we definitely have a lot of interactions and communications to have amongst ourselves as tribes, because it's an opportunity to break the mold. Tribes are notorious for waiting and twiddling their thumbs and seeing what happens. I say that respectfully, because it's done with a certain careful approach, which is good. I've always said tribes are more regulated and looked at with a closer eye, combed with a finer tooth comb than any other gaming entity in the world. So I think it's fair and safe that they approach any new potential market carefully. But that being said, there's enough data, enough information to be a little more proactive. And so I think the messaging there is tribes have to get together on it. I personally am involved in some groups that want to do that, obviously with you guys and others who, from a regulatory standpoint to a marketing standpoint, um, customer retention, development, people are growing and they're becoming of gambling age. So how do we tap that market now and develop that customer base now? So a lot of moving parts. I just think the tribes, they have a lot of resources, smart, brilliant people that work with them and for them, tribal folks, of course, and all their partners. I think they have it at their disposal. They just have to have the conversation. Um, sometimes it comes down to the information that's available now. People ask, how is it monetizable?
Right.
Well, there's ways to do that now, but this is a long-term thing. And so I think that's where tribes need to focus on it and not be just about what's it going to do for me today, but what's it going to do for me tomorrow and the weeks, years to come. That's where the tribes are at. And
Right.
there's people like yourselves, other entities that can help do that, that have molded that. I think you bring them in like we've always done in the past, and find the right partners and most knowledgeable, experienced people to implement those strategies. And that's just the way to go.
Well, what are, for example, like, are there any murmurings now? I mean, are they closer now to realizing that this is something that, because of the pandemic and everything else that's going on, that they really need to explore this? And by the way, I have to say, I guess there's two different ways to approach any project, and that is the wait and see, which, seem to have, or, correct me if I'm wrong, that strategy has worked for Native America. I mean, most people don't like dive in head first. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm guilty of that, but and then see what happens later. But I know it's a strategy that has probably worked for them. But at this point right now, are there murmuring? So they're bringing up the avenue of esports? Are you hearing it a lot more because of what we're dealing with, and a way to capture that audience, even if it isn't to like immediately monetize it? Because I think that what's happening is a lot of people are, stuck at home, and they have to use this as a form of communication or even entertainment. And it seems to me like, I would think that this would go along the same lines.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not much more than there has been. I think you do
Okay.
see the interactions, you do see some exchanges. I think it's been a mix of it, because you have esports, but then you also have what you see what some of these legal online gaming states are bringing in revenue and tax revenue as well. Has been pretty eye-opening, and it's another one I'm thinking that, hey, tribes, talk to your state representatives, talk to your contacts within your state. Time to have a conversation. And so it's really exposing in a good way a lot of those types of things. Esports is it's been fairly quiet still, but what you are seeing is other individual non-tribal entities are really moving on things, and successfully pulling off these virtual tournaments in various sizes and scales. So you see the numbers drawn from that, and the indirect foot traffic and direct foot traffic that happens as a result, and could result once you open the casino doors. So they're starting to see that, if anything, but nothing very loud, nothing too extravagant. But they're noticing.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this quick question. Did you guys have, I don't know if Wisconsin had approved sports betting. Did they before COVID?
No, it's been a bit of an issue, and we're not 100% clear as to what the holdup has been. But long before the pandemic hit, it hit a bit of a holding pattern. Um, I have my theories I won't share here, but various reasons. I mean, obviously here in Wisconsin alone, you have 11 tribes. You have the big three, as they refer to them, with Forest County, Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Oneida. Others have different potential impacts, different levels of interests, knowing the potential revenue, small revenue gain, but the fact that they want to add it to their mix. A big sports state, obviously. So I'm not sure what the holdup is, but I don't think that. I mean, the pandemic certainly didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just hoping that again, it either pushes it forward, seeing what they're going to do, especially with the football season. Potentially, not knowing what that's going to look like is a big indicator, but also seeing the opportunity and how to improve that. To be frank, I think there's ways to improve that process of amendment, and from both sides, from our side, but also the state side, and understanding that it's not going to add a whole lot to it, but it's important to include it for a lot of reasons, and we'll see what happens. But not a whole lot on that right now that I've heard. Yeah.
And I know that Wisconsin overall, you guys haven't had a major impact in the pandemic. I mean, in other words, your numbers are pretty low.
Well, it's. I mean, yes, but no. I mean, Brown County, where we're located alone, has hit some major skyrocket numbers. Kind of scary, so scary and so drastic that they've come on national radars and how quickly and fast this county alone. So I mean, right now it's Milwaukee County, Dane County. So obviously Milwaukee's Milwaukee, Dane County is where Madison or capital is, and then Brown County. You know, those metropolitan areas. I mean, there's a lot of factors that contribute to it. I'm not going to speculate on what's causing it, but we certainly have to slow our roll a little bit and allow those numbers to flatten, as they say. And pending requests to open gaming is a bit concerning, but we'll address those actually this coming week, at least for our casino. So we want to remain consistent with every other casino. We don't want one opening and none of the others opening and have that
Which
situation.
casino is that? What's the name of that casino?
Ours is just Oneida Bingo and Casino.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that casino so that the people watching know locally, like what you work with and represent there.
It's there's a lot of history to it. You know, again, in a nutshell, we started off like everybody else in the early years with bingo. You know, it was a vision to keep the lights on, provide some jobs. You know, really humble vision that developed and developed fast. That eventually pushed, you know, some discussions on many levels, and ended up pushing and contributing to IGRA, Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. And I'm proud to say, you know, through some of our visionaries in the early years, I can name a lot of names, and I should, but those folks are the ones, along with a lot of other tribes, a handful of other tribes, were early pioneers. We were certainly one of them. There weren't a lot of tribes pushing those envelopes in those years. You know, you think of Seminole, of Florida, you think of a number of tribes, but some of the biggest tribes currently right now, I can again list a lot of them, came to us for guidance in those early years and how to develop their economic plan, which of course is pretty unique. Come full circle, you know, we're definitely a competitor. We're at a very strong market across from an international airport. I think, you know, as a critical, constructively critical person, we can always do better in various ways, but we do pretty good with what we have, and a lot of government programs, of course. And timing of this discussion is interesting because this coming week, we're going to strategize on what that looks like in this new normal, as they say. So we'll see, but we just hope we can get back to some kind of normality and continue to, you know, create jobs and impact this community. Major impact in this community alone.
How many jobs are we talking about? I mean, how big is the reservation, and what does it like represent as far as, you know, the casino as its support tool for the community? Because a lot of people don't know that. They think it's just, you know, they see like Native American casinos and they're just thinking, oh, you know, it's a gold mine. You know, they don't understand that, you know, it covers the local, you know, fire department and this and that, and they don't understand the structure. So therefore they don't view it the same way, and how important it is actually to the community.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I think one indicator is a study done by St. Norbert College, local college, that showed, it was an economic impact study, and it showed direct and indirect impact on both Brown County and Outagamie County, which we reside on, partial on both of those. Major impact to the jobs. You know, we're talking, you know, 25. I'm going to get the number wrong, so I'm going to just abbreviate. I mean, we're not going to hold you on anything.
Jobs. It's really, I just want the viewers to understand what a Native American casino is. I mean, you sort of are representing that. You're the only speaker really that we have that's connecting esports and Native American casinos. So it's a very important piece. They're very large, but most people don't, you know, outside of Native America understand that. I mean, Ari and I have been working with you guys for, I don't know, 20 years. So we understand the mechanics, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a government enterprise, right? So it's not a corporation that takes a revenue share. They completely fund almost, I mean, literally dollar for dollar government programming. So from jobs to services, all those things. And we have our comprehensive health clinic, our school, we have, I think the school is about 50% funded by tribal contribution. Rest of it's BIE, and other grants. So we do a very good job of not just providing direct dollars, but helping to offset matches to bring in outside grant dollars as well. And so none of that's possible
How many
without
people?
the
How
gaming.
many people would you say? How many families or people does that support?
Oh man.
Just if you had to
Um,
guess, please. I don't, no one hold him responsible for the numbers he's saying.
yeah, I'm gonna say we're talking a few thousand,
Yeah,
because that's just families, not even the individuals.
right.
Um, because very young folks who are developing families from 1 to 2. I mean, I have 4 children. Um,
So it's
you
probably
know,
like 5 to 10,000 people overall that are impacted from what
yeah,
happens there directly.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, directly. Indirect is a whole different number too. Um, but some pretty clear, explicit numbers directly
Yeah.
are pretty profound. Um, and of course, you guys provide my information. I do have the study I can share with anybody who really wants to see those numbers.
Okay.
They're very explicit, very, very inspiring. So, let me know if you want me to
So we'll see if
provide that
there's
as a follow-up.
feedback. If people want that information, we can pass it to them. There's
So
one
Certainly.
I
thing
wanted to
I
just think, I wanted to just jump in with this pandemic now. The impact is very real, very strong, real problem. How much do you feel that the state of Wisconsin and Indian Nation should have already been doing anything in regards to online casinos? Like New Jersey's implemented online casino. Uh, they've had it now almost 10 years, where you can have, with the geofencing, within the state of Wisconsin. And I just think it's kind of like all across the country, we should have had casinos having online casinos, and then giving birth and then creating those online esport book areas. If now with esports, because there's no sports to bet on, so we have to bet on esports. But how much do you think we could have done it, in the past, so that we wouldn't be in this position?
Yeah, that's a great question. And
hindsight's
honestly,
2020.
well, hindsight is 2020, and some of us saw the value of it. Some of us pushed, for some of that. I can personally say, I've made my attempts, even through tourism and offsetting some of the. So as you know, we have compact agreements that have dollars that go back into the state. In the past, our Wisconsin Department of Tourism, I believe, received an average right around between 9 and 14 million from those compact dollars that come from casino operations from tribes. So you're literally funding entire programs that have a major ongoing economic impact on the state. So that study has not been done. But that's one right there that shows, through a proposal I did, showed those numbers and how we can continue to revolve those if we can implement sports betting, online gaming, everything. So, it's a little more frustrating for me to talk about it because, I've been at the front lines of that.
Yeah.
But that being said, we definitely woulda, shoulda, coulda on a lot of fronts. And it shows that, just to go back to the point about tighter regulation and tighter scopes on tribal gaming than any other, that's just an argument I'll make, but in a debate I'll participate in. But because of that, because of those tight regulations and tight scrutiny, which is all for good reasons for the most part, the value is more intrinsic and more baked in when it comes to tribal gaming. So if states recognize that, in particular to states with high volume of tribes, obviously not all states have a high volume. Wisconsin, 11 tribes. You got I'm going to get this wrong. 13 over in Michigan, 12 or 13, 12 over in Minnesota. So high concentration states like that, at the very least, should already have these operations in their compacts, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And right now, you're showing that with all these brick and mortars suspended operations, those numbers are I believe it's 8.59 was Pennsylvania's revenue
Mm.
online. I believe that's what the CDC, or the CDC, the gaming report put out recently. And so very eye-opening numbers. And I forwarded those numbers on to some folks, and hopefully they're, paying attention and adjusting. But again, from this tribe standpoint, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Some did try, but it's also, it's it takes two to tango, and the states have to recognize that too.
A certain amount of complacency for sure, for sure. I mean, what it's thinking. It's not thinking outside the box, but thinking within the box is what we've seen. And I know that coming off this pandemic, not only do they have to change the actual procedures health-wise in the casinos themselves, but they're just now they're going to have to change their entire business model, because it's like you said earlier in the beginning of the interview, it makes you think about how you need to prepare for something like this, so that there's an ongoing business. In other words, if there's another pandemic, God forbid, but if there is, you don't have to close shop up completely, which is something that's happened now.
Well, it's, I've always thought as my experience in marketing, you look at, those kinds of numbers and who's gaming online, who's gaming in brick and mortar. It's fairly flexible. A lot of people, they tend to look at just, this certain demographic wants a brick and mortar to walk into. This certain demographic will game off, online.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's definitely forcing tribal casinos to look at, to say, well, here's a better way to manage that system. Not just talking about keeping people on the premises, but better promotional mixes, a better maintained flow of, obviously, even HVAC systems, and how to improve airflow, and how you just design the layout. I think all that's going to change for the sake of health, and
Right.
But at the same time, for the sake of efficiencies. You want people packed in your hotel to the brim. Does it, you might make a lot of money, but is that really a good thing when it comes to some other factors that come into play? And now it's forcing us to think differently, and I think efficiency, health and wellness of employees and customers is going to come into more focus, even at the expense of bottom line. I think that's very important. I think it's worth having those measures in place. So
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much time we actually have.
We actually have about another minute, so we gotta wrap this
Okay.
up.
Maybe we'll do a second segment with you. There's still a lot of questions.
I can do that whenever you guys want to.
Sounds good. But it was a pleasure.
It
And
was we appreciate you coming on, and giving us a little insight on what's going on in Indian Nation. We hope that your family and everyone there stays safe and tries to come out of this all in one piece. And we look forward to the future. I think the future is bright from all this. It teaches us a lot of lessons that we'll have to change the way we do business in the future, and the way the world is going to be after this. So
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me again. Always happy to come on with you. Look forward to September. And blessings to you and your families and friends and colleagues. And
you too.
Hope we just get on our feet and, like you said, be more efficient and safe and cleaner.
all right.
Sounds good.
Have a good one. Take care.
All right.
You too. Thanks, guys.